Hello everyone, welcome to another Classic Arcade Repairs episode. This is an Electrohome G07 monitor chassis, and I got a slew of monitors at one point. I paid, I don't know, a couple $100 and got about 10 monitors, tubes in various assorted states. And this was one of the monitors, and it was marked it was marked vertical collapse. Well, this wasn't actually vertical collapse, the yoke was bad. I put this chassis in my G07 monitor over here, and deflection works, but there is no, it doesn't look like this thing is, it doesn't look like the beam is moving, if that makes any sense. I get no retrace lines or anything. Now, I did take my G07 out of my Berserk game, and that's a good monitor, and I put that chassis over into that, and it produces a beautiful picture. It's a good tube, the yoke's good, everything's good over there. So we have an issue with this monitor chassis, and what I'll do is I actually took it out yesterday and I cleaned it because it was filthy, and the bottom of it was completely full of brown flux. So I cleaned it really well, and it probably could use another cleaning after. It takes a while to get these actually clean, but this one was nasty. It was completely fluxed up. And if you're going to work on something, it needs to be clean. So I cleaned it really well. I sprayed the pots. I didn't mess with this because my B plus was at 120 volts. I measured it, so I didn't mess with the B plus adjustment, but I did spray some deoxit into the pots. That's my deoxit right there, and it is linked in the description if you want to get that. It's great for pots. I sprayed all of these, worked them, cleaned them really good, all the pots. So I'm ready, and I let it dry, air dry overnight. So I'm ready to put it back in, and I'll show you what this is doing. I'll put it back in the frame. I'll hook up my my good Galaxian board up, and you'll see exactly what this thing is doing. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't display a picture at all. So let me go ahead, hook this thing up, and let you check it out. Okay, I got my Galaxian board hooked up. I got the monitor hooked up. Just got this thing good to go. Yoke is plugged in, it's all good to go. So let's go ahead and fire it up. And give that thing time to warm up and show you what it's doing. There it is. See, it's coming up, but it's just no video. It's just blank. No focus. And I know this monitor, this is good. Coin. Yeah. So there's no video at all. And I do have the video hooked up. Video's right here. And it's plugged in, you can see right down. Where the heck is it plugged in? It is plugged in, I can see it right there. I don't know. You can't really see down in there. It is plugged in. See there? It is plugged in, but it's just no video. So this thing has no video. And if I turn up the brightness, it does have retrace, and so that's good. It does have retrace. It just isn't doing anything. So we got to pull that chassis back out of there and find out why we have no video. We have deflection, horizontal and vertical deflection, but we have no video. So let's take that back out and start looking at it. Okay, you got the monitor spun around. We get this thing right here. Spent $100 for this, and it's worth every penny. High voltage probe. B&K. Clip it onto here. Let's clip it onto this little screw. Bolt. Yeah, I gotta do this with my right hand. There we go. And then just come in here, you'll hear it go psst. And it quickly goes from about 10,000 volts down to 0. Okay. That's a safe way to discharge your monitor. It's really how you should do it. If you're going to be messing with this stuff on kind of a semi-regular basis, you really should buy one of these probes. Okay. Put this baby back up. I use it for discharging more than I do checking high voltage. I'll be honest with you. I use that thing more to discharge monitors than I do to test high voltage. Then what I do like to do after I discharge it is I do like to come in with a little screwdriver just to make sure there's no little snaps left. I don't like doing this with, when it's setting at 20,000 volts or whatever, but when it's setting near 0, I will do this just to make sure that it's completely shorted out. And it is. There's nothing there. So then you're safe to remove it. That's how you properly discharge these monitors. Okay? And let's remove that. Remove that. Don't pull on the wires, pull on the plug. Okay, there you go. That is removed. Alright, now since this monitor works as far as deflection and everything, all of the caps should discharge on their own. They should bleed off. But it doesn't hurt. Go ahead with a screwdriver and just make sure all of the big caps are discharged, and they should be. They should bleed off. So, yeah. Shouldn't have any issues. Yeah, okay. Okay, so there, we're good. We're all bled off on all of our big caps. Okay. Good to go. So now what I want to do, I do have the schematic here. I brought the schematic out for this. And I kind of want to plug this thing in and go over some signals. And go over this chip. You know, so see if... But that chip is the oscillator for the horizontal and the... It doesn't have anything to do with video, so I really don't believe that has anything to do with... My thing is, why is there no video? Right? Here's the sync amp. We have beam limiter, blanking. So I kind of want to go over these circuits right here. And I could just pull these transistors and check them. I don't even think that this is an issue with the chip, because the chip is the oscillator for the vertical and the horizontal oscillation. And we have horizontal and vertical. We have that. But I don't know. I'm not an expert on monitors, so I don't know if that chip could still have an issue even if it outputs horizontal and vertical. Is there something, maybe the waveform's not right? I really don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a monitor expert, but I do have a general, I know more than just a bit of general electronics, so I can work things out. I mean, could transistors be making that completely dead? I doubt it. You know, this is a tough one. I don't know, really. Horizontal output, I don't think it has anything to do with the high voltage unit or the horizontal output at all. I really don't think that has anything to do with it. We have retrace, which tells us the beam is moving. It's just we don't have video. We don't have any video at all. Is it being blanked? Is it being completely limited? I don't know. Where's that come from? It looks like that comes from... It kind of comes from the high voltage unit. We could have a bad high voltage unit still, possibly. I don't know. I'm going to look at the schematic a little bit and come back with where I want to start looking. Hey guys, back to the G07 that has the color issue or whatever. I fixed, well, I didn't really fix anything. And you got to pardon me, I'm all stuffed up. I don't know if it's the weather or whatever, but I am completely stuffed up. So I sound stupid, but it is what it is. The input header had bad joints, solder joints. So I actually had to not only resolder them, but I had to kind of run the solder out. You know, had to take off some of the mask and solder onto the traces a little bit to make good contact. And I'll show you what that did. I've got this warp board on, and I've got the monitor chassis in the game. Once it comes up, here we go. And actually I need to change something. Turn it off. Oops. I actually have the sync hooked up to the wrong spot right now. So let me go ahead and hook it to the negative sync spot like that. And turn it back on. And I'll show you what it looks like. And it is now connected to the sink the way it should be. And this is what it looks like. That's what I'm getting. No matter what, I can't adjust this out with the horizontal frequency. And I have verified it is the chassis. It's not the board. Because I can put this chassis that goes in this. This one's fine. So this one has a issue. And yeah. What in the world is going on with this? It will not adjust out. I mean, could it be a cap? I don't know. I guess it could be. I have eliminated the transistors. I have eliminated... Let me grab the schematic. It is not up here. It is not any of these transistors. So this area, transistor wise, now there are some diodes up here. Down here there's some caps, maybe there's some Zener diodes. I kind of followed the sink line down, and the sink line goes to some circuitry right here, and it also comes over to the flyback. So I'm suspecting we could have an issue with the flyback itself. We could... I've eliminated the chip. It's not the chip, because I've actually swapped the chips between the two chassis. And actually the chip that was originally in that chassis is in there right now, and I know that chip's good. So it's not the chip. So we can do a recap on it. I think that's the safest thing to do right now, is to just go ahead and recap the thing. And it's not original caps, so somebody at some point in time has recapped this, and I'm going to go off of the caps that are on this monitor so that I verify that, because this one works. This chassis is good, so I want to cap that one off of the caps that are in here, and get that out of the way, get caps out of the way. Could it be a cap? I suppose it could. I'm kind of doubting that it's a cap. I kind of think it's something else. Like maybe, I don't know. I think it's a flyback, to be honest. We have the sync signal is right here, top line. And it branches off, and the sync is placed on the collector of all of the color amps, and then goes through this diode over to all three of the drive pots on the neck board. So it could be an issue on the neck board. We could have something going on with these diodes. We could have something going on with caps over here. There's a Zener diode over here somewhere. I imagine if that would be shorted, to be pulling that to ground. So let's just start off with caps. Let's do a cap kit on the thing and then revisit, put it back in, and see if we can adjust this or what, you know. So I'll go ahead and do that first. I'm going to make a cap kit based off of this monitor, and go ahead and do that. I'm not going to bore you with the details of that. I'll take care of that and then come back. B plus is set properly on that chassis. It's right at 120 on the dot. It's not a B plus issue. So, all right, I'll be back after a recap. Just did the cap kit, put the thing back together. What do you think? Same thing. Let's try to adjust horizontal frequency. Won't make a difference. Yeah, let's do this with a with this wooden thing, skewer. Yeah, horizontal frequency. Shit, come on. There we go. And yeah, nothing. Nope, it doesn't not make a change at all. So there's got to be some, there has to be some solid state device on that board, that chassis, that is faulty. Whether it be a diode, transistor, the flyback. The flyback could be bad. I could swap the flyback. I think before I do that, I will check. These diodes that are attached to, or they're connected to the sync line. Sync also comes down here. It's not in this. I replaced that cap. There's a Zener diode right here that is connected to it. There's a diode right there connected. You know, there's a couple of parts right there, and then it comes over, comes down. There's a diode, cap. Caps. So there's a diode right there. I'll pull these diodes and check them out. And then our lines that carry, I mean, they are, the red, green, and blue are basically in sync with sync. And they come up and are, I mean, our problem could be this neck board, right? What is this? I need to look at this a little bit. I need to look up here. This voltage coming in from here on the red wire is filtered by that 10 microfarad and then goes through a line coil, an inductor. And there's cutoff, drive, all of the drives, cutoffs, and the drives, 2 drives, and then the cutoffs. Monitors, I tell you, they're just confusing. But our colors, our color guns are obviously not synced correctly in going out to the tube. I know the tube's good. I know the yoke's good. That stuff is not a problem. It is the chassis. I know that. So we have to figure out why our colors are not synced with sync, and they're not being displayed. They're not being sent out correctly. I'm sure you monitor experts or people that are good with monitors are screaming at me what the problem is, but for me, this is a learning experience. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's continue looking for problems. I'm getting ready to actually remove the high voltage unit because I think it's in that circuit. And I just got and looked at this HOT. Look at this horizontal output. That is not, look at this thing. That's not a proper horizontal output transistor. And that would definitely cause issues because that's not going to drive this transformer properly. You see what the right one looks like. See how thick this thing is? See how thick that transistor is? Once again, look at this one. This is not the right transistor. This is probably the whole problem right here. So I'm going to replace that. I have horizontal output transistors. Oh, geez, somewhere. Let me set the resistors down. SD871. That is an HOT. SD692. I don't exactly know what that is. That looks like a horizontal output. And 2SD870, those are horizontal outputs. These are horizontal output transistors. What is the number on this guy? This horizontal output is a 871, and lo and behold, I've got an 871 right here, horizontal output. Okay, this one is number 2SD871, but I'm telling you, that is not the same as this. It's just not. So I'm going to replace this guy. Oh yeah, and then there's this. This one wasn't even soldered. So, yeah, this is the problem. So, let me get this thing out of here and we'll fix it. And there you have it, a properly installed horizontal output transistor. And the one check you do want to make sure you do is put it on continuity and just make sure you're not grounded your case is not grounded. You don't want the collector grounded, so make sure it did seal. It did isolate, I should say. It insulated. So there, that's good. And I was going to remove the flyback, so I reconnected this wire here. Stripped it back to fresh wire and re-tinned it and made a good connection. We got a new horizontal output, and this thing did actually test like a horizontal output, but this thing is fake as can be. This is a fake part. It looks like a little regular transistor. This thing is not genuine. Junk. So let's go ahead, put this thing in and see what we get. Alright, we're hooked back up and fired up, and the same thing. I've tried adjusting it and this thing will not adjust. So that fake HOT, and I actually tested it and it tests like an HOT would. So it actually is a horizontal output, but it looks fake as can be. But I get the same thing with the other one. Yeah. Same exact crap. It's a little bright. I'm going to turn the red drive down a little bit, I guess. Doesn't matter. Okay, so it's not the horizontal output. It could still be. It could still be the transformer. I really have no idea. This is a weird one. So I'm just going to have to keep testing parts. I don't know. Well, well, well. I figured it out. What it was, this is my good monitor out of this. And I got to looking, I was just poking around with my probes. And I was checking resistance, and I was checking the resistance of the pots. You can see I've got the pots removed because I was comparing this one to that one and comparing to the schematic. That monitor, somebody had put the incorrect pots in that monitor. Somebody had put the wrong pots in the monitor. I got to looking, I measured across the horizontal frequency pot, and I was getting 200 ohms across it, and I was like, okay, must be a 200 ohm pot. And I came to horizontal frequency right here. It's 5K. I was like, well, that's a big difference. So I removed the pots from that monitor, which I know works, and I measured them, and they matched up with what was in the schematic. That monitor had 200 ohm pots in all 4 locations. Horizontal hold or vertical hold. Vertical hold is a 10K pot. Vertical hold. That monitor had a 200 ohm pot in vertical hold. The way it's supposed to be vertical. This is correct. Horizontal frequency is supposed to be 5K. These are actual readings of the pot that I took out of my good chassis. Vertical height was 190 ohms. It's a 200 ohm pot. Vertical linearity is a 200 ohm pot. And vertical hold is a 10K pot. Horizontal frequency 5K. This is what was in that monitor over there. They were all 200 ohm pots. So I basically just had to put a 5K pot here and a 10K pot here. And now it works. I got a nicely recapped monitor. I put the proper HOT, horizontal output transistor, in it. And yeah, so somebody had jacked this thing up. And they were actually, it wasn't like a 5K pot that only read 280 ohms, like a faulty pot. It was a 200 ohm pot. So somebody actually put the incorrect pots in the monitor. Like, geez, man, when you got to go back over other people's work, it makes it difficult sometimes when you've got to look after other people. Like that horizontal output transistor that was in this thing. That thing, I guess it would be okay for a monitor like this that's used in just testing and it's not on all the time. But I can't imagine that horizontal output transistor would have lasted very long. It just was not built like these old ones. So that's some cheesy thing. But this is, yeah, the monitor's fixed. Now I'm going to put my pots back in that one, put that one back in here. Now I have a good test monitor. That was the whole goal of this little thing was to get my test set up to where I didn't have to keep pulling the chassis out of that. So now I can put that one back together, put my pots back in that one, put it back in there and forget about it. And eventually I want to fix my Berserk. But yeah, so got my monitor fixed. Goodness gracious. So yeah, recapped. Oh, and I swapped the flybacks. Because I wanted to I just wanted to eliminate that, make sure that the flyback wasn't the issue. And I did actually pull the flybacks and swap flybacks back between the monitors. Because I just did not, before I got into like little electronics like diodes and stuff like that, I wanted to just make sure that that big stuff wasn't an issue. Like I said, this is a learning experience for me. I'm not a monitor expert. But yeah, so you don't take in consideration. I didn't think that someone would put the completely incorrect pot value in. You know, just ridiculous. So that's what it turned out to be. So sometimes you gotta find other people's errors. So all right, guys, that's it. G07 fixed.